One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. A metal mayhem that will never die. With engines roaring, he paves his way. A legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Good morning to everyone. Let's get it. Feels ultra good to be a G. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we do have a big morning ahead of us, like a very big news morning ahead of us. We have Trump-Iran meeting. We're going to be talking about that, kind of like a war room situation. Then we also have New Jersey ICE protests, as well as Texas primary. So we've got the update on who's obviously won the Texas primary, and we have all the stats for you guys. So let me go ahead and break you down what we're actually going to be looking at this morning. First, we're going to be starting off with protesters clash with ICE at Newark Detention Center over there in New Jersey. And I believe that this was going on yesterday, and it's still going on this morning, it looks like. We're going to find that out. Then we have Labor Department officials demand action on pandemic unemployment fraud. Sorry, excuse me. The U.S. Department of Labor and its Office of Inspector General today announced that they have jointly issued formal letters demanding the financial institutions immediately preserve funds held in prepaid debit cards, accounts linked to fraudulent unemployment insurance claims issued across many states during the COVID-19 pandemic. Acting Department of Labor Security Keith Sonderling is going to be joining the discussion this morning, as well as Ryan Schmelz. That's his name, actually, to discuss their efforts to recover the stolen taxpayer dollars. Good luck with that shit. Good luck with that shit. There was a lot of fraud that happened during COVID and the pandemic, for damn sure. Anyways, we got multiple injuries reported after Washington chemical explosion. There was a big chemical explosion actually over there in Seattle. I believe it was Seattle. It says Longview, Washington. So obviously the state of Washington. A major chemical explosion injured multiple people at the Nippon plant in Longview, Washington on Tuesday morning, which is obviously yesterday. And we have the update on this whole thing too, triggering a massive emergency response that forced officials to close off the surrounding industrial area. Then we're going to be moving on into the chemical crisis over there in California, in specific Garden Grove. California leak update. Chemical crisis reaches sixth day. Today is the sixth day, it says. Or actually yesterday was the sixth day. Emergency crews in California continue to monitor a chemical leak that occurred at a manufacturing facility in Orange County, California. In particular, it is Garden Grove. Then we have the Nippon facility implosion. Tank implodes in Washington, and it looks like governmental officials and or officers are coming out there to do a press conference of some sort. Then we also have ICE agents, protesters clash outside the New Jersey facility, as we were talking about. And then we're going to be talking about Texas this morning. Texas primary runoffs. This came out like around midnight, like 11 o'clock p.m. Last night for me. Al Green defeated by Christian Menifee in redrawn district. Now, we caught it early. We saw the numbers, and before the mainstream media started calling out winners, we already knew exactly who won. And then we got Paxton defeats Cornyn and heated Texas GOP primary for U.S. Senate. Yes, that one was brutal. We're learning this Tuesday, which was obviously yesterday, that Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has defeated longtime Senator John Cornyn in a heated primary runoff for the United States Senate. Paxton, a prominent ally of President Donald Trump, has now unseated the 20-year incumbent after Trump targeted Cornyn as, quote, very disloyal in the campaign's final days. Paxton now advances to the general election, where he will face Democratic State Representative James Talicaro in a contest that could determine control of the Senate. Yes, so we'll know if he actually wins in November, right? A lot of these candidates, of course, have to run against the other party, and so we'll be watching that. Anyways, we got John Cornyn concedes election to Ken Paxton. We have him actually coming out there and speaking. We have that for you guys as well. And also now, because of all that coming out, they made a little segment. Trump-backed Paxton defeats Cornyn. Race could determine Senate control. We already know that. And then, so we have the numbers of the Texas primary. Of course, we're going to be following, but we're also following the numbers regarding the chemical implosion that is going on over there in Longview, Washington. We actually have that numbers for you right here. It shows the update as of 10 hours ago. 1 dead and 9 missing, man. And then Trump to hold a cabinet meeting amid Iran war. And this is just coming out an hour ago. President Donald Trump will hold a cabinet meeting amid the ongoing war or Iran war at the White House. Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, based on the possible bad weather conditions tomorrow, we will be having our cabinet meeting in the White House, and we'll be postponing the cabinet trip to Camp David. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. Then we have Iranian TV. Iran has draft of U.S. peace proposal, and this is coming out 36 minutes ago. And it's saying Iranian state TV has published what it claims is a new draft proposal for peace with the United States, and reportedly still clashes with several major American red lines, which are things that we're not negotiating these things. These are red lines. This is what it is. The proposal allegedly includes demands tied to Iran's nuclear program and future enforcement measures, while also calling for $20 billion in frozen funds to be released as a part of this deal. Good luck with that. All right, so that's what we're looking at this morning. We got a big morning ahead of us, as you guys can already tell. So real quick, let's go ahead and do our call to actions real quick, and then we'll get into the madness this morning. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side, and hit that subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday, and of course, Saturday morning for members only. Now, speaking of members, please consider becoming a member starting only at $3.99 a month, making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, all that great shit, man. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. And we also have a Discord server for all of you legends. Go in the video description down below of any live video, and we have the invite link for you guys. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen. At any time, you can donate to those, and I get 100% of the proceeds. And, of course, I'll read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a normal super chat, so you'll still have your voice heard. All right. Good morning to everyone, man. Thank you all for being here. Let's quickly say hi to a few of you guys. I'm going to try my damnedest to get all of you guys, but you know how it is. We got Charlie Rose as well as PJ, as well as Virginia Chaos. Good morning to you guys. AU in the building, as well as Dean Savage over there in Israel. Always appreciate you. We got Pablo. Yes, sir. Good morning to you. We got Gary as well, saying good morning to everybody, as well as Steve Posey. Good morning to you guys. Easy Frank. Yes, sir. As well as Hardwire 1%er. Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. All right, we're scrolling down as fast as humanly possible. We got TVT up there in Canada. Always appreciate you, as well as Rabbit of Chaos. Good morning to you. We got Steve Easy. Yes, sir. And we got Todd J. It's been a minute. Good morning. Great to see you in the chat as well, my man. Hopefully you all are enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday. I definitely know that we are. We got Naomi in the building as well. Good morning to you. Always appreciate you and your hard work in the chat. Always appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and pretty much get right into the madness this morning. We're going to first we're going to start with the protesters' clash with ICE at Newark Detention Center over there in New Jersey. Now, we have the update regarding these things that are happening as of late last night and into the morning, I believe. So we're going to be getting into those stories here quickly.
All right, you're watching live now from Fox.
And by the way, I see you over there, Lorda, with the follow on the Twitch. Thank you very much for that.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Christy Matino. Our next story taking us out right now to New York. Actually, to New Jersey. More clashes this morning at an ICE detention center in Newark. Protesters and ICE agents once again squared off at Delancey Hall. Jessica Formosa with our Fox 5 New York team is there right now. Good morning to you, Jessica. What are you seeing out there this morning?
Damn.
Good morning. So things are getting tense as we speak. I'm going to just step out of the way so you guys can take a live look here as you see these federal agents and protesters at this hour, more protesters than an hour ago.
Yes, sir. Cardi Vanguard as well rating us this morning. Very much appreciate that with the coffee crew from Motorbomb, Virginia and Sick Bastard and the guys, man. Appreciate you guys rating us this morning.
The ICE agents here and the protesters just really got
morning,
into a scuffle just seconds ago. The ICE agents yelling at these protesters, telling them to back up. Now, what led to this, I have to say, is that the protesters have a microphone that they've been really up close to those ICE agents chanting, and at one point they got way too close, and that's when the ICE agents started saying back up, back up, back up, and there was a scuffle here. Things really also got tense at around 6:30 in the morning when this armored vehicle and these ICE agents showed up here. So what happened, just to paint the picture here, was that they showed up, they were trying to get into this driveway, but it was blocked by the protesters who put out some orange.
So what they do, come over with this big ass tank thing or whatever and block the driveway? What do they do?
Barricades, and also took some cement blockers and put them in front of those barricades, so it was hard for anyone to enter or exit the facility. So that is when these ICE agents and staff members here took all of that away and dumped it into a dumpster. But since then, as I said, things were tense but controlled until really now that we came on the air, and that is when we saw a scuffle here between these ICE.
What's up, Alwan? Great to see you in the chat, by the way. We always appreciate you. And guys, I got a question. Look at these protests that are going on here yesterday. I always think to myself, what are you guys doing with your free time? You got to dress up like Antifa and go out there and protest against ICE? Like, I always think, I know I'm sounding like a boomer at this point, but don't these motherfuckers got a way to make money? Don't they need to be at a job somewhere? I'm just asking a question.
Agents and the protesters as you're looking live. Now, I want to take you back to how we got here, what's happening. So it started on Friday, and we know that there are migrants being held at this privately owned.
Yes, sir. Desert Outlaw knows the deal. We're going to pull that out right now.
Center. They've been on a days-long hunger strike that started on Friday. They are doing this hunger hike because they claim the conditions inside are inhumane. ICE agents and protesters have been clashing, and yesterday, protesters blocked the entrance to Delaney Hall, linking arms, forming a human chain, and even sitting on the ground, not letting anyone get by. Now, it was around 5 p.m. when agents fired pepper balls at protesters who were trying to prevent an ICE vehicle from transporting a detainee to another facility. Now, Senator Andy Kim, who was out here, did have trouble breathing from the cloud of pepper.
Having trouble breathing with this cloud. Yes, that, like she just said. We got Naomi coming in with the 5 spot, by the way. Shout out to my fellow mods, best on YouTube. That's a fact, by the way. Thank you for the 5. And spitting facts at the same time. Appreciate you making it rain in the chat there, Naomi. Thank you very much for that.
Sprayed that was deployed. He, along with Democratic Representative Robert Menendez, and Governor Mikey Sherrill, speaking with relatives of the detainees. They are demanding that this facility be shut down over complaints of inhumane conditions, including
look at that little scuffle.
Food and the lack of
again.
Medical care. The governor did try to get.
I love how everyone here is got they're arguing, fighting, and they're fighting with one hand and recording with another. You know, they got their cell phone in their right hand or whatever, and they're fighting with their left. Or, dude, it's just crazy.
Poor
Look at
quality
this.
food and the lack
Look at this chick right here. You know, one hand free, one hand on the phone.
Of medical care. The governor did try to get inside to see for herself, but she was denied entry.
I never yelled at Lucy.
Now, the governor was heckled by some of these protesters as to why she didn't come sooner. Take a listen.
You showed up 4 days after. People have been asking for you. They started their strike on Friday, and the first thing they said is, we want to talk to Governor Cheryl. And it took you 4 days to be here. 4 days. Why did it take you so long? People are starving in there. You're out there.
You are very emotional, lady. Not this lady right here, the one asking the question.
What in the World Cup, going to these bars, taking these shots.
What's up, Chad with Stacks?
These people here.
Continue to advocate to him.
I heard just desperation from so many of the people in there. I mean, there was several 18-year-old young women who are high school seniors that were telling us that they just want to be able to get an education, and they're missing their graduation because of this. I mean, these are people that are not harming our community.
Man, it's wild watching how the left reacts to ICE, and ICE being working and doing it. It's not even doing mass immigration anymore. Okay, they've been directed to not necessarily do mass immigration. Now it's targeted immigration. So I'm not really sure why they're going to continue this fight like this, but I don't know, man. It definitely is discouraging because I would assume that you guys would want targeted illegal aliens in the United States to be removed. I would imagine so, but unfortunately, not everyone thinks that way, right?
Now, we did reach out to DHS for a statement. They're telling us that what happened here yesterday, saying, quote, no individuals were directly struck by pepper balls, projectiles, riders, obstructed law enforcement from exiting the ICE facility. Officers issued multiple lawful verbal commands for riders to clear the area. They've refused to follow law enforcement commands and continue to obstruct the exit route. Our law enforcement followed their training and used the minimum amount of force necessary.
And by the way, if I didn't say good morning to you, Charlie, good morning to you, by the way.
To protect themselves, the public, and federal property. Now, as you come back here live, you see here that tense standoff between the federal agents and protesters here. As I was saying, and I keep saying this because it's important to tell you exactly how this all is escalating. At 6:30, we saw the agents show up here, and that is when the protesters ran over to this side.
Yes, by the way, you guys don't have to like all the protests and the craziness that's going around the world and within our nation, but you guys can hit that like button for what we do here on Insane Wheels. So thank you for that. Make sure you guys double tap that screen like Steve says.
They were
Appreciate
at
that.
the other entrance. And since then, things have been tense but controlled. Just seconds ago, as we were coming on the air, that's when things got a little rowdy here. But right now, it seems like the situation is under control. These protesters...
Man, I'm going to be honest. The protests from the left, they really all do look the same. You know, like those anime type of people, a lot of, very gay people. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm just observing like the Antifa look, the hoodies, the skinny jeans. This guy's got, or woman, I can't even tell what that is, but, cut off jean shorts above the knee. Yeah, it's just it's an odd thing to watch.
Telling me that they are going to
They're like all these like nerds and goofs that really can't actually fight.
Remain out here as long as it takes for federal officials to hear them out. They are demanding this facility to be shut down because they claim the conditions in there are inhumane. I sent things back.
What's up, critters? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Good morning.
Jessica, before I let you go, so we're seeing just how chaotic it is out there outside of the facility. Detainees now on this hunger strike inside. What are officials saying? Have you heard from officials about what needs to happen to de-escalate this situation and address?
Yes, we do got to ask the question.
Why are you gay?
Because
you are gay.
Shit.
There are concerns.
So we know, as I said, Senator Andy Kim was here yesterday. He was also here during on Friday and Saturday, and he was able to get inside the facility, and that is why he was describing what was happening. He did say that he's going to reach out to federal officials to talk to them.
That's facts, Denise.
About the situation here to see if something can be done, either transfer these detainees elsewhere and close down this facility, which is what they are demanding. But things, as I said, are escalating as we speak, and hopefully,
Brother Seymour Cannabis, good morning to you as well. Happy Whip 'em Out
learn
Wednesday.
more as this all develops throughout the day. Back to you.
Steve Posey, I got you, homie.
Stop the cap.
Shit.
Oh, shit! All right, Jessica Formosa with our Fox 5 New York team. Thank you so much for checking in. We appreciate it. We'll continue to follow this story here on Live Now from Fox.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on into our next segment here. We've got a lot of them. Let me actually count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 more segments to get through. So anyways, it's a big morning. Labor Department officials demand action on pandemic unemployment fraud. Now, let me quickly just read this. It says the U.S. Department of Labor and its official or Office of Inspector General today announced, which was yesterday, they have, have jointly issued formal letters demanding that financial institutions immediately preserve funds held in prepaid debit card accounts linked to fraudulent unemployment insurance claims issued across many states during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yo. All right, let's go ahead and do it. Quickly, you know what we haven't done? We got to do the money part. Let's just get that over with.
All right, just get the money part done.
And of course, it'd fuck up. So let's.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Now, those are actual factuals. All right, let's go ahead and pull this up. And we'll quickly get into it. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. I'm Ryan Schmelz. We have this here, a tweet from the acting labor secretary, Keith Sonderling, saying, we're recovering stolen taxpayer dollars and pursuing the criminals and fraudsters responsible for committing one of the worst fraud schemes in American history. Make no mistake, under President Trump, these bad actors will face swift and decisive justice. Let's go ahead and bring in acting labor secretary Keith Sonderling for his first appearance here on Live Now from Fox. Sir, great to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me today. Lots to discuss.
Absolutely.
I have a question for both these motherfuckers.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Just saying, bro.
Bruh. To discuss. So let's just start with this. What is the latest that the Trump administration has from the Department of Labor's perspective when it comes to this a pretty extensive fraud investigation?
What's up, Amy?
Well, you know, the president has taken rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse and corruption very seriously. You know, he created his White House task force on fraud, led by the vice president. And the Department of Labor has a significant role in that, in not only rooting out the fraud and going after the fraud that occurred, but really making sure that the fraud never happens again. In our space, it relates to unemployment insurance. And what we saw during the COVID era was massive fraud, potentially one of the largest in U.S. history, against those unemployment insurance COVID-related funds. Around almost $900 billion went out to help American workers get back on their feet during that time. But what we found was almost 135 billion of that might have been related to fraud. And it's some of the most egregious fraud examples you can see. As you know, the point of unemployment insurance is just supposed to be temporary.
Well, at this point, you know, years later, if this is referring to obviously during COVID, I would imagine these are during the years of 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, maybe even going into 2023, but that's a while ago at this point, man. Good luck trying to actually get something done out of this. I don't know if they're actually going to ever see their money back on the amount of fraud that happened during COVID.
You know, you get it while you're trying to get back in the workforce. And of course, you have to be eligible to get that. But what we saw was there was really no checks or controls. And it was really free money. And a lot of fraudsters, criminal rings really jumped on this money that was supposed to help honest, hardworking Americans. We saw examples of money going to dead people, money going to prisoners who obviously aren't eligible.
And remember people that are like 200, 300 years old and shit.
For unemployment insurance. But the egregious examples, $1.2 billion to people under 14. And you're not allowed to work when you're under 14 to be qualified to get unemployment insurance. So many different examples that we can continue talking about that really just shows the length bad actors went to commit fraud. Thousands of claims.
Now, this guy is, you know, the acting Department of Labor secretary. So he is somebody that is actually within power here. This is not just some analyst.
People over 115 years old, when I think the oldest person in the United States is around 114, 115. And my favorite example is someone born in the year 2154.
Steve Posey, I have not, but I have gotten a couple of updates from Pops, and he's been telling me that it's been going at least in the upward direction, right? In a good way.
Which of course hasn't happened yet, was able to successfully apply for and got unemployment insurance fraud. So this is money stolen from the taxpayer. We want to make sure this never happens again. And we're working very hard with our Inspector General, Anthony D'Esposito, to get this money back.
And I remember
good luck with that. And that's where we're going to leave off. Let me go ahead and see if there's any posts or governmental official, posts there. There is not. All right, we're going to move on. Multiple injuries reported after Washington chemical explosion. This is up there in Longview, Washington. And this happened on Tuesday, which is obviously yesterday. And we have the updated numbers that have been affected by this as well. It's not in this right here, this report, but the next report, it will tell us. And it's 1 missing and 9 injured or something like that. Or no, one injured and 9 missing. I can't remember. Let me go ahead and look at the update, what it is here, so I can actually tell you. I'm looking. Hold on. Give me a sec. It is 1 dead, 9 missing. That's the numbers right now for this.
Now we do have some other breaking news to get to here. This from our colleagues in Seattle, Fox 13 in Seattle, saying a major chemical explosion injured multiple people at the Nippon plant in Longview on Tuesday morning, triggering a massive emergency response that has forced officials.
Real quick, we got Mr. Abe Dinkus in the chat, my man. Good morning. Great to see you. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Definitely know that we are over here, my man.
To close off the surrounding industrial area. And we have footage here, a live look of this area right now. Not a lot of action that we can see right there, but obviously when you hear about a chemical explosion injuring multiple people, that obviously sends off a very...
Yes, Desert Outlaw, we've been following both, and we're actually going to be reporting on both. The very next story on this, by the way, is California leak update. Yesterday was the 6th day that is they've been struggling with that tank over there in Garden Grove, California. So we do have all of this for you guys. Emergency crews in California continue to monitor a chemical leak that occurred at manufacturing plant in Orange County, California, but it's actually specifically Garden Grove. Anyways, yes, we are covering all of it.
Especially when there's a massive emergency response that's going.
This one just happened yesterday.
It's forced officials to close off the surrounding industrial area. So we're still awaiting more information here. I actually have a web article on this. I'll pull this up real quick and read some of it off to you. Saying this, here's the brief from Fox 13. Emergency crews are on the scene of a major chemical explosion at the Nippon plant in Longview that occurred Tuesday morning. Firefighters and hazardous materials.
Yeah, what up, 5150? And he changed his name on YouTube. That's epic, bro. Good morning to you.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit!
Great to see you.
Teams are working to stabilize the site and prevent further secondary blasts. Officials report that multiple people have been injured, and authorities are urging residents to completely avoid Industrial Way and the surrounding area while the active emergency response continues. So you hear it there. Emergency officials saying, if you are in the Washington, especially Seattle area, avoid this area at all costs and do not go anywhere near it if you can.
All right. So that is the quick update that they've got there. But after we do this California update, we're going to go back into that whole thing up there in Washington. We actually have those numbers for you guys as well. But first, let's get into California real quick regarding this shit. And I think people need to start embracing their fuck ups.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? You are a fuck up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Facts were embraced. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, regarding this whole thing, let's get into it this morning. This is now the 7th day, but this was, reported yesterday. And I think this is the latest No, we actually do have a newer update that came out 10 hours ago regarding this tank. So we're gonna be discussing a lot of this shit. But nonetheless, regarding the evacuation over there in Garden Grove, originally they said that there was about 40,000 people that got evacuated. They're saying as many as 50,000 people have been actually issued those evacuation orders. But now that they also reported yesterday that this in particular tank, is now gone from, well, this thing could blow and do a humongous explosion. They said, okay, that's off the table now for right now. It's looking like it's coming down. And if it does fail, and well, it's already failing, but if it does have an explosion, it's going to be on the smaller side, not the bigger side. So they started telling people that you can start coming back to your houses. Now, unfortunately, these people have already been evacuated twice from this situation. They had the big scare. They got evacuated. The governmental officials told them that they can come back. And so they came back and immediately had to spin on their heels and leave again because the threat came back. So yesterday they were saying, well, we're not going to go ahead and actually bring people back yet until we absolutely know that the risk is basically gone at zero. So,
but we're going to get to a different story here. There's a press conference underway right now. This from our colleagues at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. Evacuation orders and school closures remain in effect amid the chemical crisis in Garden Grove and surrounding areas. We have
Texas
officials having a press conference on that right now. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Can't hear him yet.
For donations of food and clothes and everything like that. And we appreciate it. It just has to be coordinated, obviously, right? But same thing, I mean, criminals, it's a crime of opportunity. They see, oh, nobody's home. It's a perfect opportunity to go in and try to do that. And that's why from the very beginning of this thing, our command staff was very sure that we had to have extra roving patrols specifically for this zone. Because while we're working on the problem here, we still have to protect our community's property. So our entire department is out here protecting, serving, patrolling that community. And while we've reduced it, we still have work to do. We still have ongoing patrols now in the smaller zone of the newer evacuation zone. We still have fixed posts. We still have people out there.
Yeah, Tiffany, good luck with that. It's been raining here now the last 3 days. The last 3 days it's been raining. Anyways, we still have another like 5 or 6 days of rain left, at least for me where I live. But yeah, at this point, you may want to just wait it out. Go out there with a bush hog, at that point.
We want to get them back home, but we want to make sure they come home to safe to the property that nothing's happened. I'm proud to report with as many as, I think, 66% of that has been reduced. No reports of anything overnight. People coming home, finding their house broken into. I can speak for only Garden Grove, but that's phenomenal, right? We want people to come home and have that relief, get to sleep in their own bed and not go, great, now my stuff's broken into, or this is gone. So we're hoping that it continues that way. We've had a lot of the neighborhood, the community that's getting home, driving around the exterior, calling us, hey, there's suspicious activity. Keep that up. This is a partnership. We can do it. The community's been helping. It's absolutely amazing. So we're happy that we're trending in that right direction as far as OCFA goes, and we're going to continue to patrol and help keep the property safe for our community.
Any message to those would-be burglars or looters that are thinking about?
Don't come. We're not messing around. You will go to jail. 100%.
What? You'll go to jail for what? Wait. You'll go to jail for what?
Keep the property safer as far as OCFA goes, and we're going to continue to patrol and help keep the property safe for our community.
Any message?
Oh, okay. So people that are showing up to that property. Okay, that makes way more sense.
To those would-be burglars or looters that are thinking about?
Oh, looters. She's asking now looters about, because that now that there's not people there and maybe police are not going around and blah, blah, blah. I understand the question. So if companies are getting looted in the area, people are showing up to this area, yeah.
Don't come. We're not messing around. You will go to jail. 100%.
Can you detail again, just really?
Good morning, Sterling. Great to see you, by the way.
So,
Happy Whip 'em Out
Wednesday. We're talking
Wednesday.
about was there was one looting arrest. So it was one individual that was inside of a side yard or the backyard of a residence committing a theft. So not a typical, when people hear looting, they think it's people smashing doors, running in, maybe large groups, pulling up trucks and unloading an entire house. That's not the case in this one. One person was in the side yard, and the initial tip actually came from a resident who was driving on their perimeter, notified one of our perimeter officers, who then related to our roving team. So outstanding work by the community working with us to pass that information along in a timely manner, and we arrested him. We found him.
We may not know about
other looting that may have occurred.
Yeah, but in all fairness, it is in Orange County. You know, Orange County is like the nicer part of Southern California. And Garden Grove definitely is the hood for Orange County, but it's not the real hood, you know?
Because people aren't in their homes now in that evacuation zone. So you may
Yes,
find out
always
about
crazy looting in California.
Correct. So of everybody that went home last night, we got 0 calls of that. So there is still that smaller evacuation zone. Part of that does encompass Stanton, and I'm only speaking for Garden Grove.
Evil Rick, good morning.
I can't speak to Anaheim or any of those other cities, but as far as Garden Grove, we had no calls last night. And that's going to be the first thing someone's going to do. They're come home, their house, they're going to call us, right? So there was none for Garden Grove, and we're going to hope to continue that, working closely with our law enforcement partners in Stanton, because they're still impacted in this, to keep those roving patrols happening.
When did that one incident happen?
I believe it was yesterday during the day.
And have you made an arrest?
Yes, that arrest was made.
Okay, so that's really what we're going to get at here. We're not going to get much more information out of this conference, I'm going to be honest. We've been following it, so we already know what is happening. It's not like I'm sitting here going, what is happening? Why I don't have the information. No, we already kind of know. All right, so we're going to get back into Washington real quick regarding the explosion that are happening up there, the implosion, they're calling it. They're calling it Nippon Facility Implosion. Tank implodes in Washington. Longview, Washington officials provide an update on Tuesday, which was yesterday, and this is when the event happened. Officials say one firefighter was hurt. Recovery efforts are underway in Washington. There were multiple critical injuries in the area. Officials say there were fatalities as a result. Oh, wow. So more than just that one firefighter. So because they're right now saying at least 1 dead and 9 missing after the chemical explosion at Longview. So let's go ahead and bring this up. 3, 2, 1.
To our PIO so that I got it correctly, got all the names right. We're here to provide an update regarding this morning's industrial incident on Dynaway Packaging, located on Industrial Way in Longview. At approximately 7:15, emergency responders were dispatched to the following rupture of a tank containing white liquor at the...
You know, Evil Rick, that's a good question. I have not checked my mailbox as of super late, so I'm going to have to check. But the reason why is because it's been raining the past 3 days, so I've been avoiding going to the mailbox, but I will go and check that out. I semi forgot that was like on my way, so appreciate you always. I'm going to check.
Multiple agencies
today.
from across the region responded immediately and continue to operate on scene. The incident is stable, but is in recovery phase. Recovery efforts remain underway at the facility. Hazardous materials, personnel, and fire crews continue working.
This is no joke, by the way. Steve Easy says, every city in Cali is better than Bakersfield. You know what? Listen, Bakersfield really is not just the armpit of like the state, not the armpit of the country. It's the armpit of the world, bro. That shit sucks.
Closely with the facility.
I had family that lived there even.
Staff to secure the area and to support the ongoing operations. At this time, officials have identified no immediate threat to the surrounding community, and we're still asking the public to avoid the area while we're still in the recovery phase.
Sick bastard.
There were multiple critical injuries, and patients were transported to hospitals in Longview and throughout the Vancouver-Portland area. We can also confirm there were fatalities related to the incident. We are not confirming or giving the information on their names until their families have been notified. At this time, there are also individuals who remain unaccounted for as crews recover and continue the recovery and accountability operations. One firefighter was also injured during the response, and he has since been treated and released at our Longview Hospital. No identifying information will be released until all the family notifications have been completed, like I said. This is a unified response. It's been coordinated through the City of Longview Fire Department, Cal 2.
Agrillibus knows the deal. Good morning to you as well. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
Fire and Rescue, the Cowles County Cowles County Sheriff's Office, Regional Hazardous Materials Teams, and Medics Ambulance. Nippon Dynaway personnel remain on the scene and have been instrumental in our partner agencies. So this is a tragic incident for our community. Our thoughts remain with the victims, their families, co-workers, and everyone who has been impacted by it. Additional information will be released as it becomes verified and available. This time I'd like to give the rest of this to...
Okay, so we'll take 1 or 2 questions. We'll see how much, because he really didn't give us much information there. A lot of these officials and or officers of any type, they do come out here and, man, I'll tell you one thing. They do love to ramble on where it's nothing. You said a whole bunch of nothing. And it's the art of that, right? Being able to just speak and not actually give you any information. So let's see if we can squeeze a little bit of information from the first 2 questions.
Our Chief Scott Goldchain from Cal 2 Fire and Rescue.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I thought he was going to take questions right there, but that's great. He's bringing in fire rescue here. See.
The Nippon-Donaway site, as well as the other industrial areas here along the Columbia River, are an industrial response area, which is done in partnership with Longview Fire and Catalyst 2 Fire Rescue. Our units responded jointly this morning and assisted with the fire suppression activities. As
Boomer, you're not kidding on that, by the way.
Materials, emergency medical response, and the scene coordination. As Battalion Chief Gorsuch identified, this is white liquor. It is a chemical mixture of sodium hydroxide, sodium sulfide, and disodium carbonate.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper making process. The incident of this scale requires strong coordination between the agencies in the county, as that's what remains ongoing. As we identified, the scene remains stable. Crews from our agencies have looked at the hazardous materials component as well as the structural concerns. That is why we are saying the incident is now stable. The family support process has been coordinated through the AWPPW union officials and Nippon-Donaway. We ask that everyone respect the privacy of the families during this difficult time. Incident operations remain on site, and we anticipate that to take for several hours and maybe through the overnight period. Our next planned communication update will be 7 p.m. this evening. I will take questions at this time.
Okay.
How many injuries?
We'll take one or two.
How many fatalities?
Unknown number of fatalities at this moment.
Unknown number of fatalities. So what they're doing there is they're not giving out that particular number yet. They're giving out missing people's numbers, and they're giving out so far one dead number. So I guess that is one fatality number, but they're not that they were counting the firefighter on that. They're not. It sounds like from the way that the rhetoric was, especially the write-up and the description, it sounds like it was multiple people that could be possibly dead.
Said we have confirmed that there are fatalities, but the exact number is undetermined. Injuries. 10 personnel were transported from the site.
10.
Chief Gorsuch identified one of those was a firefighter, so that was 9 personnel on site plus 1 firefighter transported.
Can you tell us the extent of those injuries? How bad?
Wide range of injuries.
But more life-threatening as well?
Critical, severe to minor.
Were all those injured and who died workers at the plant?
No, as we identified, 1 firefighter injured. The other 9 were members of the facility.
And those who died?
As I said, we're not identifying any information pertaining to that.
You said recovery effort. Does that suggest that you're still looking for victims and fatalities at the scene?
We have looked through the site and are looking at assisting the pond staff as well as state agencies in the next documentation process.
I know you said people are still missing. Do you have a ballpark idea of how many may be missing?
We have information on that, but we're not releasing that information in conjunction with the Cowles County Sheriff's Office.
I wonder why why in particular a number like that would be something that they wouldn't want to be transparent about right off the bat. Like, I always kind of think that, like, why in particular that question? Why is that one withheld? You can answer all this other shit, but that particular question, why? I mean, obviously they don't know, so they're not going to give out but it seems like it seems like they don't know, but meanwhile he says, we know. So it's like, I don't know.
We have information on that, but we're not releasing that information in conjunction with the Cowles County Sheriff's Office, as they are operating this as the lead law enforcement agency.
Can you explain more, like what was the
So their law enforcement agency is the one that has to give out numbers. Well, you already gave out numbers. You gave out direct numbers already. So that's why I'm like, what? Why are those numbers okay, but these numbers aren't? And whatever. It's all bullshit. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. We got a big morning. It doesn't sound like we're going to get much more than that. Regarding the ICE protests over there in New Jersey, this coming out, 15 hours ago, protesters and ICE agents faced off outside Newark's Delaney, I think that's how you say it, Hall Detention Center again on Tuesday as demonstrations enter a 5th day. Wow, I thought this was the 2nd day. Interesting. I guess there's been demonstrations now for 5 days, and today would be the 6th day, by the way. A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security denied a hunger strike is occurring. I'm not sure why hunger strike would be even in question, but whatever. Says what we do know, though, the confrontation unfolded outside Delaney Hall, where protesters gathered for a 5th consecutive day to demand the closure of the privately operated detention center. Demonstrators say migrants being held inside are enduring inhumane conditions, including poor quality food and inadequate medical care. So that's why a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security denied a hunger strike is occurring. I'm glad that I read for more information on that. All right, let's go ahead and bring this up, and now we have a bit more of context of what's happening.
Go out to some live video that
and this is a quick update
for you right now. This has been an active protest really all day between ICE agents and protesters clashing right now outside of a New Jersey facility. And here is the look right now. Just moments ago, we did see someone getting pulled away and arrested here. We'll play back that tape in just moments, but just wanted to show you what it looks like right now from this
live at that moment.
The line.
But yes, you know, they were in the middle of a report, or right before they started their report, there was a big scuffle that happened even while the cameras were right there trying to set up.
Of agents and other personnel that are keeping an eye on these protesters. Again, this all happening at Delaney Hall right outside as protesters continue to clash with these ICE agents outside of the Newark, New Jersey detention center amid a hunger strike that is going on right now. And this is just the vantage point that we're able to bring to you on Live Now from Fox.
What a nightmare.
Just wanted to showcase the very latest different live feeds that are rolling in right here as always.
You know, Steve, easy to answer this. I think the honest answer to this is demonstrations seem to work very well, but protests seem to be basically kind of counterintuitive. Doesn't work well. You don't get the always the result that you want, and that. So yeah, I would say demonstrations, not necessarily protests.
We'll show you the moments just a little bit ago. This was about 2 minutes ago.
Gary, I've never been to New Jersey actually,
and you could see the clashing happening, the back and forth between protesters, and then you saw just a run here.
Look at this.
And
this
is how it just all played out when they needed to get one person in custody right there. And you see the agents there rushing to get that person. And then
spraying,
we do
getting
have
sprayed.
People being sprayed as well to try to get them away from the agents trying to make this arrest right there. But yeah, that was just some of the moments just a little bit ago
and this is just
we were seeing.
A very quick update too. It's almost over already.
Showcase to you right here on Live Now from Fox. Let's show you this update from Homeland Security.
You be safe out there, Tiffany. We always appreciate you. It's and stay warm and stay dry. You know, don't be slipping and sliding.
On X saying, "We will not let rioters stop or slow ICE down." While New Jersey sanctuary politicians and anti-ICE agitators chose to spend their Memorial Day weekend smearing law enforcement and rioting outside ICE's Delaney Hall facility, our law enforcement continued to put their lives on the line to arrest murderers, pedophiles, and kidnappers. Back out live right now. We're just keeping an eye.
Man, wild times. All right, so let's focus our attention for a bit on Texas. We have an update on that. It's actually a very, very quick update. This first line of Texas, and then we're going to get into Paxton defeats Cornyn and heated Texas GOP primary for U.S. Senate. And then we have John Cornyn concedes election to Ken Paxton. And so we'll see how that goes. I believe he was a 20-year incumbent. So it was a big deal. That whole race was a big deal. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and bring up Texas primary runoffs here.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Speaking of Texas primary runoffs, we do have the first check mark of the night, that being in the 18th Congressional District, as it is Christian Menefee defeating Al Green in this lopsided race in the southeastern Texas.
Look at that.
As you can see, Christian Menefee, the incumbent, as he replaced.
Now, these are two guys that got forced to basically run against each other. That's what ended up happening because of gerrymandering. So these two were essentially forced to have to run against each other, and that's how Al Green lost his position.
Sylvester Turner, the late Sylvester Turner, after a special runoff earlier this year. He beat him by a sizable margin. As you can see, 21,000 to just 9,000 votes right now for Christian Menefee, the big check mark next to his name, as he'll serve out the potentially the rest of this term, and then come November trying to seek a second term. As you can see from the Houston Chronicle here on Live Now from Fox, saying breaking freshman U.S. Representative Christian Menefee has defeated an 11-term U.S. Representative Al Green in the Democratic primary runoff in Texas's redrawn 18th congressional district. So a big win for Christian Menifee tonight. A live picture there in southeastern Texas, as potentially we'll have some comments from him as Menifee defeated the longtime Congressman.
And we have that for you guys here in a second.
Al Green. It was defined by heavy outside spending and clashes over generational changes. Green, a 78-year-old civil rights champion, was running for a 12th term in Washington. He entered the race in the
Oh, actually, I don't have that on standby. My apologies. I'm thinking Paxton.
newly redrawn Houston area 18th district after his own district was carved up in redistricting. Menifee, in his late 30s, was a Harris County attorney, fellow member of the Congressional Black Caucus, was sworn into Congress earlier this year after winning that special election. He's expected to cruise to victory in
Yeah, special elections, man. There's a possibility that may even happen for J.R. Bowling. Anyways, I mean, anything is possible is what I'm getting at. So, anyways, here we go. Paxton defeats Cornyn in heated Texas GOP primary for U.S. Senate. As we say, as we know.
Big high fives and cheers at the Ken Paxton watch party of the Associated Press, just calling it in favor, as he will be the GOP candidate on the ticket come November against James Tallarico. I do want to put this up as Greg Abbott quickly to social media, the current governor, saying, "Congratulations, Ken Paxton, on the resounding victory. Next, we will destroy Tallarico and become the next U.S. senator from the state of Texas." So we potentially could hear from Ken Paxton here in just a little bit, defeating John Cornyn very easily. It was a quick night as polls closed within the last hour or so. It was a sizable lead that only continued to grow for this. So Greg Abbott here talking about this on Live Now from Fox as the check mark popping up next to Ken Paxton.
Here's the numbers right there. 497,000 to 298,000. Wow.
His name over John.
That's a blowout.
Cornyn in this race.
And you got to remember, John Cornyn, 20-year incumbent. And by this time, they only had 49% of the estimated votes counted. Wow.
This was a heated one, stemming back for more than a year. $135 million poured into this race between these two candidates, of course.
Wait, how much? How much money?
For John Cornyn, and this race was a heated one, stemming back for more than a year. $135 million.
$135 million combined for these two candidates in their campaign. Dude, are you serious? That much money, yo?
Poured into this race between these two candidates. Of course, John Cornyn seeking a fifth term, coming up short this time. Ken Paxton, endorsed by the president, called him a MAGA warrior. So the two Republicans, neither of whom have ever lost an election. Now Cornyn.
Which, by the way, I have something that I saved on my phone. I'm not going to be able to upload it for you guys, but I'll put it in the Discord later. So there is this picture that Fox actually came out with, and so I have it right here, and it says Trump endorsed tracker. So 9 people Trump endorsed. 9 of them won for the U.S. Senate, right? That's for U.S. Senate. For the U.S. House, he endorsed 101, and 101 of them won. And then for governor, 8 of the Trump endorsements that he gave, 8 of them won. Wow. That's fucking crazy, yo. I never thought Trump would ever be in that kind of position. Because we remember how he ran the first time. It was like he was the, the enemy in these kind of things. And now it's so interesting how the public has changed on that.
The first time losing an election, and they also potentially trying to keep that streak alive against James Tallarico, the Republicans against the Democrats. In the months since that March 3rd, President Trump pledged to endorse swiftly, but kept both campaigns on ice despite repeated overtures. He ultimately, at the 11th hour, backed Ken Paxton. So Paxton, buoyed by that endorsement, now climbing into the nomination. The embattled Attorney General, he overcame an impeachment, different fraud convictions there in the state of Texas, but now on the ticket for November, trying to secure his seat, his spot in the Senate as the next Republican there for Texas. He's going to have a very nasty battle ahead of him against James Tallarico. He's already potentially set his sights on him right now at this moment. But again, this is a major monumental move as the most recent, the latest Trump-endorsed candidate moving through a primary. Politico saying Paxton wins this Senate runoff, defeating the longtime incumbent John Cornyn. So we could hear from Ken Paxton within the next 15.
And I don't know if they actually end up hearing from him on this. We'll maybe take a word or two.
me just as a John Q citizen. Right.
It doesn't look like he's going to be doing much on this one. It looks like they're getting ready to do it, but we don't have that for you guys. We have John Cornyn concedes election to Ken Paxton, though. That's what we do have for you guys. Let's go ahead and see what John had to say real quick. We're not going to even play the whole thing, by the way. But
after a public service career lasting more than 4 decades, and 18
yeah, that's crazy. Over 4 decades in politics. Now, mind you, he was a 20-year incumbent, let alone 20 years on top of that being involved in politics. Wow.
Consecutive campaign wins. Tonight,
so he said 18 consecutive campaign wins.
Decades. And 18 consecutive campaign wins. Tonight, we've come up short in this primary runoff. You know, a few years ago, I had a friend of mine say, you know what makes God laugh? He said, when we make plans. I've spent most of my time in the Senate building the Republican Party in Texas and in the U.S. Senate, and I've always supported the Republican ticket, and I intend to do so again in this general election.
Wow.
I've said throughout this race that I trust.
You still want to be involved in politics at this point? It's like, fuck, man. That's crazy.
The voters.
How old is he now?
Of Texas. And they've made their decision, and I must respect it. Tonight, I'm joined up here by 3 women who mean everything to me, and without whom I never would have enjoyed the incredible ride and public service career that I've had for many, many years. Of course, my wife, Sandy, of 46 years and counting. And then our daughters, Danley and Haley, of whom I'm enormously.
Steve Easy, I'm with you, bro. Let's get these motherfuckers out of here. You know, but we should be replacing it with, you know, some young guys that are actually, you know, can be relatable with their people that are voting for them and stuff. They could be relating with these type of people. When you're 60, 70, 80 years old, bro, you're not connecting with the youth. You're not connecting with people that are 30 even or 40. It's hard. So I don't know, man. These guys, it's unbelievable hearing, I've won 27 races in a row. I've been involved in politics for 47 years. It's like, Jesus, dude, let's get these guys out of office.
Proud.
And this goes for everyone that is involved in politics. I think that we should be having not only a term limits, but I think that we should have an age limit too.
They mean everything to me. Politics is hard on families, especially. But I believe, and I know my family believes, that public service is an honorable calling. Serving others is a high purpose.
And Steve, unfortunately, the big problem with the younger generation, they are getting more engaged in politics per se, but on the voting aspect, for instance, on the local level, it's very low. It's very, very low on local level, but it's a little bit higher, obviously, in, you know, for the general elections, stuff like that. But when it comes down to their actual state, local government, unfortunately, it's the boomers that run that shit. Those are the people that vote. People my age, it's very hard to find, scarce to find people like my age going out and actually not just involved in politics, but actually knowing what they're doing and who is running and what they're standing for your local government. Because I always say, if you're going to be hardcore about like politics of who's going to be the president and all this shit, keep that same energy, if not more energy, for your local government. That's the way I've always looked at it, because that's where you're going to actually feel an actual immediate difference. So I don't know. It's hard to get people my age to understand that.
Much about politics is ugly. We choose to serve through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Of course, we could not have run this race without an outstanding campaign team that has served me so well through so many campaigns. Truly the finest I've ever worked with. To Rob, Mayanne, and Andy, and the entire campaign team who worked tirelessly and gave everything they had and who believed in me, I want to express my gratitude. Of course, I want to thank my U.S. Senate staff
Yeah, Boomer, by the way, that's exactly what it is here where I live. It's the good old boy club. It's just the way it is.
Ably led in Washington, D.C. by Drew, and in Texas by David. You work hard for 32 million Texans every day that I'm honored to represent, with long hours, high stress, and job uncertainty. I want to express my gratitude to my staff for their incredible professionalism and dedication to the 32 million people of Texas that I'm honored to represent. To everyone who's worked with me, alongside of me for all these many years, I just want to say thank you. And then to my supporters in this campaign, more than 1,000.
Could you imagine spending that kind of money? Cornyn spent $100 million on his campaign. Now, it was like 100. What was the total number? 130 million that was total used. So 30 million from Paxton and 100 million on Cornyn. Like, could you imagine running on $100 million campaign and losing? Oh my God.
Current and former elected official endorsements, more than 30 statewide organizations, to every financial supporter, every volunteer, everyone who voted for me in this election, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Tonight, I'm reminded of something Teddy Roosevelt said in 1910. He said, "It's not the critic that counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and blood and sweat, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who
You know, I hear you, but you're adding a lot of shit that is really unnecessary. I'm going to be honest in this speech. So anyways, we're going to end off there with that. Now, let's get a little bit of an update from this whole thing. Regarding Paxton and all this and Cornyn. Let's go ahead and see what this is about real quick.
Something just happened in Texas. The most corrupt politician in America just became the Republican nominee for the United States Senate. 3 years ago, Ken Paxton was impeached by his own party for using his public office to enrich himself and his donors at the expense of the people. That kind of corruption is the rot at the core of this broken system. It's why we can't afford anything. It's why we can't get ahead no matter how hard we work. For 50 years, mega donors and their puppet politicians like Ken Paxton have stolen from us with their bribes, their bailouts, and their billionaire tax breaks. Ken Paxton has gotten away with it. They've all gotten away with it. But that ends this year in this.
How does that end this year? Come on, dude.
In this race, if we the people can come together to defeat the most corrupt politician in America, we can defeat this entire.
Okay, so what he's getting at is
corrupt system. We can start unrigging this economy. We can start.
Is this dude running as a Democrat or something like that?
Raising our pay, cutting our taxes, lowering our costs. We can finally get ahead. It's time to come together. The people versus Ken Paxton.
Yeah, so it's he labeled that like as if it's actually the people, but it's him. It's yeah, I hear you. So I think that's a Democrat that's running against Paxton in November.
James Tallarico reacting to the news that he will be facing off against Ken Paxton.
So it is the Democrat nominee or whatever
in the general election in November for that U.S. Senate seat. And for more on this, we want to bring in Jeremy Wallace, a senior political reporter for the Houston Chronicle. Thanks for joining us, Jeremy.
Yeah, corruption ends this year, quote unquote, by a Democrat. Get out of town with that bullshit.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit?
Yep. So anyways, let's go and move on into the update regarding the chemical implosion where they show 1 dead, 9 missing. Let's see. This is just coming out as of, well, not just coming out. This was coming out at around midnight last night for me in my Central Standard Time. So it came out super late.
We do want to take you out live right now of a chemical tank At the last
up there in Washington.
They had said one person was dead, 9 others unaccounted for, and 10 additional people injured.
Man, 9 people unaccounted for that obviously worked there. When a big explosion or implosion happens, missing people is definitely not what you want to hear, because those missing people could have just been blown up into a billion pieces. And that's the sad reality. And I hate to say it, but probably did.
Let's listen in to this update live right now.
I hope they figure it out. Can't hear nothing yet. Gonna raise up the volume there.
Responders were dispatched to the pond. That is a chemical utilized in the paper making process.
Hold on, I skipped a little too far.
Responders were dispatched to the pond, Donaway packaging, following the rupture of a tank containing white liquor. That is a chemical utilized in the paper making process.
White liqueur is what it was called, and it's used for the paper making process. Interesting.
Due to the scale of the incident, agencies throughout the region responded immediately and continued coordinated operations on site. This is a large, unified response involving the Longview Fire Department, Cowlitz 2 Fire Rescue, law enforcement, hazardous materials, medics, ambulance personnel, state agencies, facility personnel, and many additional partners, many of which are behind me here, along with our political team. Incidents of this magnitude require extensive coordination, and that coordination remains ongoing. We stated this earlier this morning, and I wonder...
Man, I wish they actually had some decent audio on this, because I'm not going to be willing to listen to that for very long, but I'll let him get off his very opening here.
Reiterated here now. At this time, we state there's no direct threat to the surrounding community.
That's what I wanted to know, is if there was a threat around the community. You know what I mean? That's what I really wanted to know. Ricky Young, I see you, or Rick Young, I see you in the chat, my man. Good morning.
There is no threat to the surrounding community. Operational challenges. Recovery and stabilization efforts remain extremely complex due to the ongoing hazards. Earlier this morning, I mentioned that there was a roughly 80,000 gallon tank. That information has been modified, and it is now approximately a 900,000 gallon tank.
Okay, so he gave out the wrong information when he originally said the size of the tank. He originally said 80,000, but really it's what, 800,000? Let me hear that again.
This morning, I mentioned that there was a roughly 80,000 gallon tank. That information has been modified, and it is now approximately a 900,000.
900,000. What do you mean modified? What do you mean modified? Why do you use that nomenclature? Why didn't you just say, yeah, I messed up. You know, I had the wrong information. I said 80,000, and it's actually 900,000. I'm sorry.
Gallon tank.
I mean, that's a big difference.
Process. After evaluations midday, we believe that there could be a potential of 90,000 gallons.
That can be true.
In that tank.
That can be true, Gary, but someone like myself has never voted that way.
The tank remains unstable, creating a dangerous situation for our personnel, which has created our additional planning.
Yes, that's very true. We actually are in OT. We're 8 minutes and 30 seconds into overtime. You know what they say about overtime, no tax on overtime, no tax on tips? Send in your donos. W.
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking.
All right. So let's go ahead and get the remainder of his speech here finished with.
Denied.
Crews are actively assessing the structural integrity of that tank and working on plans to stabilize that tank before additional recovery operations can safely proceed. Those are the situations and limitations that impact our access to portions of the facility. Now I'm going to turn this over to Battalion Chief Matt Amos with the Longview Fire Department.
You don't really need to do that. All right, let's go ahead and move into this morning. Yes, early this morning. Trump to hold a cabinet meeting amid Iran war. Now, this is in regards to the thumbnail that we made this morning, as you can see here, regarding the war room. There's been a lot of discussions regarding this whole cabinet meeting that's being held, and it's something got held up where they were going to do something, but because of weather and all this stuff, I guess they're holding it a different way, I guess. I don't know. We're going to find out together right now. Here we go.
In the meantime, our top story today, President Trump holds a cabinet meeting at the White House this morning as he hopes to close in on a deal.
Now, as you guys can see what's going on over here in the background, that is UFC, or is it UFC? Yeah, I think it's UFC that's setting up there. Or is it it's not WWE. It's not WWE. But anyways, it's some shit that's going on regarding that.
And the war in Iran. He's facing critics within his own party, but as Doug Luzada reports from Washington this morning, he's also flexing some political muscle. Good morning to you, Doug. What can you share with us this morning about this meeting?
Oh shit, real quick. We got Brother So Loud coming in with the 10 spot, my man. Thank you very much, saying overtime pay. Thanks. Yes, sir. I very much appreciate that. Making it rain in the chat, man. I very much appreciate it. No tax on overtime. That's facts.
Some Republicans fear the administration will ink a bad deal with Iran, with the president making it clear that he's the one calling the shots.
Okay. Long pause.
Tonight, we just made history.
Okay, so this is where I was hoping that we would end up seeing as well. This is the man that took Cornyn out.
Look for the president today to tout Ken Paxton's win last night in a Texas Republican Senate runoff as a sign of his strength within the GOP.
His endorsement in this is the most powerful force in politics.
The president, with a last-minute endorsement of Paxton, helped him oust longtime GOP Senator John Cornyn. And it may be a warning to other Republicans who may doubt his efforts in Iran.
We should view the people we're dealing with skepticism.
There is unease on Capitol Hill about the deal
how he
that
said
may be
that.
brewing to end the war in Iran. Can the regime there be trusted, despite the president's strong statements about ending Iran's nuclear program? And at the White House today, a cabinet meeting after the U.S. struck more Iranian targets, including boats that were accused of trying to place mines in the Strait
Which we reported all on this yesterday morning, by the way.
of Hormuz.
We caught the Iranians red-handed. They were trying to lay mines to block the Strait of Hormuz, and they were threatening our forces. So this was entirely in self-defense.
Iran accused the U.S. of violating the ceasefire agreement, but their continued stranglehold on the strait is another issue that must be resolved.
We can't have any words that implies that Iran has territorial rights over the straits when international law recognizes it as international waters, and freedom of navigation has got to be there.
The president has said that a deal with Iran has been largely negotiated, but the terms, everything about this, still in question this morning. Back to you guys.
Doug, I wanted to ask you about that. When we talk about the terms and what it's really going to take here to get this deal done, what are those sticking points between both Iran and the United States?
Well, we kind of have to figure out, based on what we've seen in recent history, that it really has to do with Iran's nuclear program, as well as freedom of navigation there around the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
And
Doug
one
is
last
right.
question for you, Doug. For our viewers who are going to be tuning into this at 11 a.m. Eastern time today, what can they realistically expect to hear? What can we expect to come out of this cabinet meeting today?
Well, these cabinet meetings in this second Trump administration have been pretty freewheeling in terms of the president answering a number of questions on a number of fronts. So it will probably be, if history serves as a guide here, pretty lengthy.
All right, Doug Luzada with Fox News reporting for us. Thank you so much for checking in this morning, Doug. We appreciate it.
All right, so we have the latest update regarding Iran. This coming out of Iranian TV, it says Iran has draft of U.S. peace proposal, and this just came out right before we started the live stream, actually. So it's just about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes old. It says Iranian state TV has published what it claims is a new draft proposal for peace with the U.S., and it reportedly still clashes with several major American red lines. Now, what that means is non-negotiables, okay, from the United States standpoint. The proposal allegedly includes demands tied to Iran's nuclear program, multiple programs there, and future enforcement measures, while also calling for a $20 billion in frozen funds to be released as a part of the deal, which I think these are all red lines. And I think the United States is immediately going to say, what?
Denied.
Anyways, so let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll see what happens here.
It is now 10:02 on the East Coast and 7:02 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'll be here with you for the next several hours as we break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. And right there on the right-hand side of your screen, you are taking a live look over the White House at this hour, as in just about an hour, President Trump is set to meet with his cabinet. And he says the U.S. is closing in on a deal with Iran that would reopen the Strait of Hormuz and end the ongoing conflict. Now, the president has said there would be a cabinet summit at Camp David, but then, due to weather, he announced it would instead take place at the White House. Again, that is set to start 11 a.m. Eastern.
That's what I was trying to figure out. They were going to do it at one facility, and now they're doing it over here at the White House.
Time, so we will bring that to you here in.
Or I shouldn't even say facility, but because it was going to be outside, they brought it inside into the White House.
On Live Now from Fox. All of that coming as we are following some breaking news involving the situation between the U.S. and Iran. A lengthy post coming in here from Phil.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't been watching, Steve, I've been puffing on one this entire morning, basically. I just put out, what I'm saving left on that right there. I'm, not trying to get super slammed, but I've been smoking the whole time.
Over at Reuters, as he says, Iran State TV said Tehran had obtained a draft of an initial unofficial framework for a memorandum of understanding with the United States on ending their conflict. Under the framework, Iran would restore commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz to pre-war levels within a month, while the U.S. would withdraw military forces from Iran.
Yeah, it's understandable there, Steve Posey.
And lift a naval blockade. State TV said the framework, which excludes military vessels and envisions Iran managing ship traffic through the strait in cooperation with Oman, was not yet finalized, and that Tehran would take no steps without, quote, tangible verification. I do want to bring in a great friend of the show here. We do have Javed Ali.
Hey, by the way, listen, I love Carl's Jr. I love this comment, by the way. Cat fine stuff. Very much appreciated.
The University of Michigan to help break down all of the latest developments. And as always, Javed, there is a lot to break down. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Josh, thanks for having me.
Of course. And first off, I want to ask you about that information here coming in from Reuters just moments ago, because it sounds like it's more of the same from what we've seen so far over the past several weeks.
So it does sound like that there is the diplomatic track is.
Yes. And by the way, today was one of those that it would be good to do that with, because there was a lot of shit that was going on.
It's still been open. There have been all these negotiations and conversations about getting to a ceasefire or something more.
Hell yeah, of course I do. Man, I miss Carl's Jr. because ever since I moved out of Southern California, as you guys know, over here on the East Coast or the South, they don't have Carl's Jr. They have Hardee's, and Hardee's sucks compared to Carl's. I'm sorry, it just is.
Enduring beyond an extension of the current ceasefire. And as you and I have talked about in the past, that I think the two key issues for both sides are access and control of the Strait of Hormuz, and that post you just put up suggests there's still terms to be worked out on that. And then the second key issue or big issue is the status of Iran's nuclear program. So I have to think there's a lot of back and forth on that topic as well. And that might be even harder to put a framework in place than even the one that may come to pass with the Strait of Hormuz.
Also want to talk a little bit more about some more information that's coming in. This is actually from State TV as well over there in Iran. And of course, we take it all with a grain of salt. But it says that the Deputy Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council says that today, the issue of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is not on the agenda for negotiations with the.
Oh boy, they're holding firm on that whole nuclear aspect. They're not. That's a red line for them, right? And they're disregarding a lot of our red lines. What's up, Trigger Warning? Good morning to you, kind sir. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday so far. Definitely know that we are.
U.S. But as you and I have said before, that is a big sticking point. So I have to imagine that there is at least a little discussion that's taking place with whatever deal is talked about between the U.S. and Iran at any given point.
So, Josh, I would have to believe that, again, this is a huge issue for the United States. And despite the statement from the senior official that you just referenced, listening to President Trump and other officials from the U.S., the theory of the case for the U.S. side for starting the war to begin with was to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. So I would have to imagine in whatever deal gets put forward, if a deal happens, that the status of Iran's nuclear program, and to include the amount of highly enriched uranium that it has, about 1,000 pounds or a little bit less than that, perhaps stored at one facility or buried in one facility, and other ones, that has to be a key and central issue for the United States. Because if not, then what was the point of starting the war in the first place? So I would sort of not completely dismiss the statement you just referenced, but I think behind the scenes, that's what the U.S. negotiators are working on really hard.
And what I want to do is pop this up as well, because this is all coming in at this hour, which of course we brought to you right off the top of the hour. But Fox News, posting just in, Iranian state TV has published what it claims is a new draft proposal for peace with the U.S., and it reportedly still clashes with several major American red lines.
Which are non-negotiables from the United States standpoint.
Proposal allegedly includes demands tied to Iran's nuclear program and future enforcement measures, while also calling for $20 billion in frozen funds to be released as part of the deal.
Man, that don't sound like there's some good faith, proposal for this framework that's happening. It looks like just a total, like as if they really hold fully the leverage, which is interesting.
Vice President Vance says he's hopeful an agreement can still be reached, but warned the administration is focused on securing a deal that Iran won't violate in the future. Jackie Heinrich there at Fox News breaks down the latest developments and what could still blow up those negotiations. Of course, we're going to keep in touch with her and with our friends over at Fox News as we gather much more information about all of that. Now, talking a little bit more about the situation that's playing out at this hour, we know that Israel was involved in that initial situation, the U.S. and Israel conducting those strikes there on Iran several months back as Operation Epic Fury got underway. What role does it seem that Israel is playing now at this point? Because we heard from President Trump maybe a week or so ago when he said that Netanyahu will do anything.
Yeah, just in case if I didn't make it clear, which I did announce that this was a proposal of a framework sent from Iran to Trump. Yeah, so that's their demands.
He wants pretty much.
So it does not appear that Israel is directly involved in the conversations between the U.S. and Iran. Now, they're not sitting down together, but through intermediaries like Pakistan and Oman and perhaps Qatar. But it doesn't seem like Israel is involved in those discussions at the same level. And at the same time, Israel...
Oh, really? That's a great... I'm glad that number is coming down. I hope that I hope that we can get that shit down to $60 or $55. That's why... ideal spot,
is continuing to conduct military operations against Hezbollah and Lebanon, even overnight.
Yeah, but Steve Posey, what I was getting at with it is there's been a lot of proposals that have been flown around, and it was the art of the deal at the start of their negotiations, for sure, where they're both negotiating on super high, unrealistic things, and then you meet in the middle, right, which is where you actually want. I understand that, but now they just sent a new proposal, and this is the latest one of a framework, and they haven't conceded one bit during this whole thing at all. Actually, they kind of keep adding shit. So what I'm getting at is they're negotiating as if they actually have the leverage over the United States. That's how they're negotiating. So that's a problem.
There are reports of a pretty intense series of strikes against dozens of targets in Lebanon. So Israel isn't relenting on that aspect of their campaign. But as you and I have talked about before, the status of Hezbollah for Iran is a major issue. And I would also have to think if a deal is in place, the Iranians are going to try to do something to preserve Hezbollah's status in Lebanon and not allow it to be permanently or completely disarmed the way perhaps Israel and the U.S. would like to have happen. So what's going on right now between Israel and Lebanon in Iran, or Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, is going to have an impact on the status of this deal once it comes forward, or if it comes forward.
And as all of this is developing, Phil Stewart over at Reuters adding...
This is new context. I'd like to see this.
It added that if a final agreement was reached within 60 days, it could be approved as a binding UN Security Council resolution. The emerging U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding stems from indirect talks launched after the war that began in February, with Pakistan playing a central mediating role between Tehran and Washington. The war erupted after a sharp escalation between Iran and Israel earlier this year, with both sides exchanging missile and drone attacks that disrupted shipping in the Gulf and drew in U.S. military involvement, raising fears of a wider regional conflict. Now, Javed, one thing that stands out to me here is it could be approved as a binding UN Security Council resolution. What is the significance of that when, at this point, it seems like President Trump, the U.S., and really Israel as well, don't have a lot of faith in the United Nations?
That would be an interesting development, Josh. And
I was about to say, it could be interesting, but fuck the UN. Fuck all those organizations, these globalist, organizations. Fuck all of them. So who gives a shit? Anyways, let's go ahead and see if there's anything else here. It says the IDF has issued an evacuation order for Tyre and surrounding areas of southern Lebanon. That's super interesting development. Let me go ahead and see what that's all about.
Look here over at the Strait of Hormuz. Now, we also have this post that's coming in from Trey Yingst, our buddy over at Fox News. This is more about Israel and the situation with Hezbollah. So I want to get a little bit into that because he says the IDF has issued an evacuation order for several areas, including southern Lebanon. Of course, the Beirut area has been struck. So while all of this is going on between the U.S. and Iran, you also have that situation that's still playing out between Israel and the Hezbollah terror group.
Right. So as I talked about before, that over the past several weeks, that even with an arrangement in place between the U.S. or between Israel and the Lebanese government, that hasn't really had any impact on Hezbollah, and they have continued to fight back against.
Yep, that's exactly right, Steve Easy. And also operations against Hamas has also been happening. We also reported on, did the breaking news of it yesterday, of taking out their new I forget what the exact here. Let me pull it up. I'll just show it to you guys. Fuck it. Give me 2 seconds here. Sorry. Boop boop. There we go. Let's go to my channel right here. Okay, so after the show, I reported that this was just breaking when I break news like this, it's actually happening in that moment. Anyways, just in, Israel says it's eliminated senior Hamas officials in a targeted strike inside Gaza, including the newly appointed commander of Hamas armed wing. That's what it is. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed the operation, signaling Israel is continuing its strategy of hitting Hamas leadership at the highest levels. Early reports indicate multiple high-ranking figures were killed, but full confirmation is still developing. This is a major escalation, and the next move from Hamas could determine how far this spreads. I'll be covering any major updates. Stay tuned. So yes, but yeah, this is what we've been following. So they've been nonstop up there in Lebanon as well, fighting against Hezbollah and stuff like that. So that's never really stopped. And then the Hamas stuff that part was a major escalation that happened yesterday. So
Israel, and Israel has been hitting Hezbollah pretty hard these last few weeks, but Hezbollah has also managed to launch drone operations against IDF positions either in southern Lebanon because there are troops in southern Lebanon or across the border in northern Israel, and they are inflicting casualties on the IDF using a different kind of delivery system for drones. So I think this is another reason why you're seeing Israel hit Hezbollah hard right now, is because this fight has continued to persist. Doesn't seem like it's slowing down, but I do think that it is going to be a key issue for Iran whenever a deal materializes between the U.S. and Iran.
And of course, you know this is coming here, and you've already touched on it. But what are you going to be watching for coming hours, days, weeks, potentially?
No, I already know what we're looking for. You don't need to tell me. All right, so listen, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps us up for the morning, man. I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough for the amount of love, support, engagement, hitting that like button on the way in, the way out, doesn't matter. And listen, we're not going to be rating anybody this morning, so you guys will have to find your own way on YouTube land. Again, thank you all for your immense support. We're going to be back tonight for the Diamond Effect at 7:10-ish p.m. Central Standard Time this evening, and we'll have another great discussion. And we'll be back for more of the world's madness of reporting world news, geopolitics, American politics, all of that tomorrow morning. All right. Much love, honor, respect to everybody. Have a great one. God bless everybody.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire.